All right. Hello, everyone. We are live here at day 3 of the Queensland Mining Exploration Expo in Mackay. It's been a great couple of days, and we're here for the final day. So today we've got Josh, who heads up the Layer 8 security awareness operations. That's what Josh does. He does all things security awareness. Now, everyone probably knows Josh. Josh and I are our king of podcasting.
Oh, we got to get back
So
in, Tommy. We've got lots of
we
stories
got to do it
post
again.
your mining exploration, or your
There's some big
mining
machines here. It's
adventures.
fantastic.
Yeah, ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen,
So what we wanted to,
follow Tom on LinkedIn. You'll see all the big machines.
all the big machines.
Mhm.
So we are going live to LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube again today. This is the final in our series of live webinars, podcasts, whatever you want to call them, here at QME. So it's been a great event. But Josh, today we want to
Yes.
talk about cyber awareness.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. The
and
changing
I can
landscape of.
Yes, and I can tell you it's been a fair topic here. The old cyber awareness and cyber in general, post some incidents that have happened of late. We
Last
shall remain
Friday,
nameless, but
it
yeah.
showed the world.
Well, that's the scary thing. That wasn't even a cyber incident.
Correct, yeah, but it made everyone realize the vulnerability of our technologies and the world we live in and how interconnected we are now. And you're right, that wasn't a cyber attack. A simple update can cause that. So imagine what happens when you've got people that are actually wanting to gain access to your system, via phishing or any other means. There's some pretty motivated people out there, and it's a pretty good business these days. So people are trying their best to be able to get into the systems.
So tell us, what do you think is? You say it's a business, which we sort of know. Um, a lot of it is just simply financially driven, isn't it, from these threat actors?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah, financially driven and
Well, Josh has crashed into something by the look of it. He's gone on mute.
so
Oh, now Josh is obviously joining us live from somewhere, and I think his car alarm has decided to go off.
yeah, apologies guys. I don't know what happened there. It was all fun. The fun of live streaming, guys. Don't worry, we had a similar incident yesterday doing a fishing presentation, and someone forgot that their microphone was on and was saying some very funny things. 35 other people from the organisation was on the call. So
Nice.
yes, sorry about that. Is that absolutely it's financially motivated, and absolutely what we're seeing is that obviously it's becoming or has become already a really good business, and something that is getting more advanced. Tom, and you'll be seeing this firsthand, and I'm sure the people at the conference you're at are talking about this. But artificial intelligence and AI as a whole has made a double-edged sword in terms of the fact that it's really helping us do amazing things, but it's also helping hackers be able to effectively access systems and be able to send out and gain information on people at a much faster rate than they ever have in history.
And are we still seeing that trend of the majority of these incidents, and I guess the start of these compromises and attacks coming in via email? Is that where we see it still?
Um, it's email, but what we're seeing is that, and example yesterday was we were running a phishing presentation and explaining that phishing really is multi-dimensional. What I mean by that is that traditionally we've always associated phishing with email, and really phishing comes through voice now. So
Mm.
it comes through text message. It can come through chat within an internal system in a company if that's been somehow accessed. So phishing is
We see
not
things
just
like
up and down.
WhatsApp and Facebook
Definitely,
Messenger and those sort of technologies. Yep.
yeah, absolutely. So because we are such we're so interconnected in the day and age we work, and our home life and our work life, and there's so many platforms that we work across. And a lot of these things are fantastic things. They make our life so much easier, but they also come with that downside. The downside is that unfortunately is threat actors out there and people out there that are wanting to gain access and start to build social profile around you, or build a profile around you, to be able to then effectively exploit you in ways that obviously don't benefit you.
And that's interesting. I mean, one of the things you said there is building that profile, and the reality is that's actually happening, and that's where we
It is.
see this the dark web. I mean, people are buying information. That's where these compromise. So if a system gets compromised, that information becomes available. So these threat actors can essentially build an entire profile around an individual and then start to target them. Is that how they are starting to work these things?
Absolutely, Tom. Yes, smack on. And that's the thing, is that the more believable they can be, and the more speaking in the way you speak, and referring to things that are real in your life, the easier it is, and the more believable it is. What's interesting is, if you look at the human brain and human behavior as a whole, we are tribal creatures, right? We still want to connect. We still want to find ways to be able to, interpersonal connection with people, so that we can effectively survive, really.
Mm,
And what happens is, these organizations, because they are organizations now, it's very rare that it's just a single person trying to do hacking, or trying to phish you or gain access. They're big organizations. They're well funded machines that are using really advanced technologies, and have access to the dark web, and purchasing credentials, and other bits of information, which then they're building out a profile around you, so
mm,
that you can effectively, effectively be able to uh, then utilize that in multiple different ways. And the example we gave yesterday, Tom, a great example, is fake banking websites, for instance. So a fake banking website, ANZ, unfortunately, has been through this a couple of times now, where you Google ANZ in Google, and unfortunately, a fake website comes up. It looks identical to the ANZ
in
website.
the search, in the first search results.
Correct. First search results. First search results. And this is
We've
what a
seen that
lot
with
of
Zoom
people.
as well.
Correct.
Mm,
Absolutely. Yes. Another really good example. And what we're seeing is, then what happens is, you're entering in your credentials, so your account ID, and then your password, and then what they've got, the sophistication we've got to now, is then they'll trigger the MFA. So you'll get a text message, thinking in your own brain, "Hey, I'm just entering into my bank like I would any other
mm,
day." I enter that in. They're entering that in. Suddenly, they've got full access to your bank account, which is, it's a frightening thought, but it's happening, and it's where we unfortunately need to be hyper aware now. And
yeah.
human error is still the number one, cause of cyber instances, is the human factor. Our technology is becoming really, really robust, really, really robust. We've got great firewalls these days. We've got wonderful, Microsoft's investing a lot of money in catching a lot of emails. But don't get me wrong, there's still things that are getting through the net, and it
Mm.
still comes down to a human acting on that, which then unfortunately allows people to gain access.
Yeah, well, I guess we see this with things like email compromise, where supply chains are affected, and then that email comes through, and unless you're expecting that email, or people just aren't questioning because they're so busy as well. They're getting inundated with emails in their inboxes, and oh, hey, and there's an invoice from someone. Yeah, we do work with them. Let's just get that paid. And I think
Absolutely.
that's quite a common approach, but it still seems to be something that people are getting caught by, and obviously losing lots and lots of money on it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And what we are seeing is that, unfortunately, we are too busy.
Mm,
We're not taking that time to check. And as I shared with the group yesterday, we definitely need to take a little bit of time to double check email, especially if there is urgency around an email, right? Especially if there's urgency, especially if there's a link that is asking you to exercise some type of, you're clicking on a link to perform an action. Please always be very careful about that. Download
Or even reply to an action we've seen where they'll ask for a simple reply.
Yep. Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Replying. And also, on top of that is just the ability to be able to stop, pause, verify first. There is nothing wrong with slowing something down because they do. They play on the fact that we are time poor. So if it's asking you to make a payment, give them a call. Give them a call. Pick up the phone. Give them a call. That yes, it might take you 5 minutes more, but gosh, you've got peace of mind that it's definitely gone to the right place. So yeah.
Yep. Excellent. Now, as we sort of go through, we touch on and you sort of head up the layer 8, which is all around that awareness training, and it's focused on the user element.
Yes,
there's plenty of
definitely.
technologies that are in play to protect endpoints and firewalls and systems and all those sort of things, but ultimately, as you said, things can still slip through, and things still do slip through.
Yes.
The speed at which the threat actors can create, manipulate, and bypass systems is insane as well. Like as soon as something new comes out to protect it, they're finding ways around it. So how should we be approaching the human side of things, that human element? There's a million different offerings out there, obviously, but what I know what we do with the layer 8 stuff makes a real difference, but what are some of the ways that we can start to leverage that and address that human side of things?
Absolutely. I think, layer 8, we've taken a very different approach. We understand that, I suppose, the traditional way of learning, and don't get me wrong, we think there is still a place for that. But the traditional way of learning, the retention around that is not there because your employees don't want to look at a PowerPoint. They don't want to click next. So we've made it fun by creating these immersive learning experiences. And what they are is a series of escape rooms that we've created, which then can be done physically or virtually, which then sort of leads into a bit of a 12-month program helping people really embrace those learnings and be able to do it. One thing we have learned is that you need to be talking about this in your business. Your people in your business are your key asset, and they're also your key vulnerability. So talking about this in your business and working with people, and we're not saying definitely, obviously we'd love to talk to you at layer 8, but any type of conversation that you can be having around keeping up to date, sharing insights, giving examples of real world scenarios that we're seeing and that other people can read about and share with their staff really helps, because if it's top of mind, then we're more likely to act in the most appropriate manner to keep protected. If this is not talked about and just sort of said, like we have around security for many years, security, IT looks after that. Well, actually, what we've seen is IT is doing their absolute best, but it's still not good enough in some ways, in terms of the fact that each individual within the organization really now is the one that needs to take responsibility for cyber and people accessing the system. You need to work as a collective tribe to keep those people out from your network, and also think of it for your family as well. A lot of people think, I just need to think about this at work. No, not at all. We don't want to see anybody, especially, and we talk about this a lot, we don't want to see anybody, make a mistake at home or click on a message personally and get compromised and be taken advantage of from a financial point of view.
Well, that's a really important point, because this isn't what we're seeing today isn't necessarily an attack on an organization. It's just an attack on individuals, regardless of where they sit. Because as an individual, it's your individual profile. It just might know that I work at Wintech and I'm the CEO at Wintech. That's part of my profile, but they are still looking at me as a individual. And if they can find a way to get onto my Facebook and have a look at personal information and learn that, then they will, I guess. That's where that whole, this is not just an organizational issue. This is a individual issue and challenge to think about.
Absolutely, this is a one-on-one war. This is a one-on-one war, and it's only getting more aggressive in many ways because they don't care who you are. They'll take money from anybody,
From
and that
anyone. Yep.
it's a pure numbers game. It's a pure numbers game. So please don't think, a lot of people, and we talk about fake social media profiles. And a lot of people went, oh, that's just famous people that have their social media profiles replicate. That's not true at all. We're seeing it. We're seeing it in just everyday mums and dads having their profiles taken, and then them starting conversations with their friends and saying, "Hey,
Mm.
I'm a bit short on money to pay the rent this week. Would you mind sending me some money? By the way, I've updated my bank account." You're seeing the trickery that's happening out there is
Mm.
widespread, and it's happening across the board, guys. So we need to be all thinking about this and having conversations about it, having conversations and sharing, and not shying away from it.
Yep. Yeah, good point. Really good point. So tell us a little bit now about that immersive learning aspect and how that really differs from the traditional approach that's been around for quite some time.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously layer 8, we've been around and we've been developing training systems for some time. And really what it is it's about our understanding of the fact that humans like to play, and we learn best when we're playing. So we need to effectively get into environments where we're having fun and we're learning, and we are, making the most of getting those fundamental things out, which is working as a team, and being able to effectively, I suppose, take on a challenge together. And that's where our immersive learning really stands apart from other training out there, because it's about having fun, it's about working as a team, and it's about collectively learning and sharing what we're learning in those environments.
Yeah, so it's more than just that this is what to look for in a phishing email. Obviously, that's part of that process, but it's then getting the group collective to go, oh, I've seen something like that before, or that's what I saw, and oh, this happened to,
Absolutely.
to Johnny down the road, and all those sort of
Correct.
things. That's
Yeah, it's
that's
the
what makes it,
conversations.
yeah, and that's what makes people, I guess, retain that knowledge more effectively, because that's what we're trying to
Yeah,
do
definitely.
is because of the, I guess, the nature of this beast, and as we've said, we're all so busy. If it's just a go and watch this video and expect someone to then be able to retain that knowledge long term, I guess the science shows that playing and engaging retains that information for a hell of a lot longer.
Absolutely, absolutely. Science has shown that. There's a number of different studies out there around play to learn, and we're just applying those fundamentals to what we do at Layer 8, and making sure that people have a good time while doing it. That's the thing is.
Mm,
Cybersecurity as a whole has always had a name of being quite boring and mundane, and no one, a lot of people have always tried to put us in the compliance box, right? And I understand that. I understand that there is a compliance factor, but really this is a non-negotiable now. It's not compliance. It's not. This is like waking up and eating every day. You need to
mm.
be aware of this, because if you're not aware of this, unfortunately, the byproduct of not being aware is making bad decisions. And if you make bad decisions, they can cost you financially. Um, Over half of businesses that are compromised from a cyber attack never recover. So,
Mm.
guys, you need to really take this seriously, and it can definitely impact you and your life dramatically.
Yeah, very true. And we've had a few of these discussions over the last 3 days with some of our partners on the webinar series, and it's a we've got a technology approach, We need to incorporate that human approach to make sure that people are engaged in that discussion around cyber and how it's important, not just for the business, but for them individually. And
Yeah,
then we need to ensure that the businesses are in a position that, unfortunately, when this happens, because regardless of what we do, at some point, something's going to happen, whether it's a cyber incident or a physical disaster or something, we've got to be able to recover. So
yeah.
there's still that very much that people, process, and technology element tied to all of this learning.
Yeah, definitely. And I heard your great interview, your great webinar yesterday of Kaseya talking about backup. Guys, that is like, that's not even a conversation anymore. You have to do that. But you
Mm,
also have to be aware. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Just having a backup is like that's sort of not even step one. Step one is now actually you have all those technology things in place, but more importantly, you are educating and empowering your staff and yourself as an individual to be able to make appropriate action around
yeah,
cybersecurity. And
yeah,
what
definitely.
how do I deal with a phishing email effectively? And if you're not having those conversations in your organization, you need to start having them.
Yep. And tell us a little bit now as we sort of wrap this up. How are you actually delivering these sessions? What does a session look like?
Yeah, great. And that's what's great question, Tom, and really something that we've worked really hard on to make it easy for organizations. So for instance, a virtual escape room is simply as simple as jumping onto a Teams meeting. So you jump onto a Teams meeting, it's professionally facilitated by one of our expert facilitators. And what happens is you jump on and we take you into our immersive environment. And for 30 to 45 minutes, you work as a team between 8 and 12 people to be able to escape the escape room. And usually, what we do is we pit the organisation against each other to be able to achieve the best times. But
Make it a bit
also then,
competitive.
yeah, make it a bit competitive. We always like to be a bit of kudos in the organisation. And then obviously, then we offer that physically. If you want us to come out on site, we come out on site and we can set up in a boardroom and then effectively, run through the same type of learnings in a physical environment, and people really get into this. So there are our two main escape room offerings, and then we have our 12-month program, which is something that is constantly testing and improving from the point of view of making sure that we're always providing measurement around
Mm,
the staff awareness, which is a key thing. You've got to be able to measure what you're doing, especially from a cyber awareness and a cyber security as a whole point of view.
And what about, we know that users are at different levels of knowledge and things like that. How can we, are you able to cater for that? Does it sort of,
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So what we do is we work with and understand the knowledge levels of the users, and then with that, we then are able to facilitate, some customizations or the base learnings of most cyber security and cyber awareness are actually they're fundamentals, and those
mm,
fundamentals don't change, and those fundamentals constantly need to be re-ingrained for all the end users.
yep. Excellent. Mate, that's been some great insight and really helpful on that. I think it has been a topic, and we've had the some demo games running up here, and
Yeah, great.
I know Bronson's been trying to do it, and I don't think he's escaped it all yet. So that's always fun. But yeah, it's definitely an area that I think needs to evolve in a lot of businesses. We've seen that
Definitely,
very
just start the
traditional,
conversation.
yeah, traditional compliance tick a box approach, which ultimately isn't helping people change the behavior or helping them understand that risk to them individually.
No, not at all. And that's it. We need to up the ante across Australia and across organisations around this conversation. Is a conversation that needs to be had, and it can't just be I'll keep it in a corner and let me tick a box. Because
Mm,
unfortunately, what we're seeing now is the rapid expansion and the rapid rate of the actions that are happening. You've got an attack happening every 6 minutes at the moment, and
yeah, okay.
that's only increasing. So,
Yep.
guys, you got to take this seriously.
Yep. Josh, Thank you very much.
Perfect.
Been an absolute pleasure having you on here, and
Yeah.
hopefully everyone watching has got some value out of it. So, mate, get that car alarm fixed, and we'll speak to you soon.
Yes. Thanks, Tom. Cheers.
Thanks, Josh. See ya.